Hello and welcome back to the exciting continuation of round 3 here at the 2023 European Championships. An amazing event as we had a challenging front 9 for our lead card. Excited to be bringing you round 3 back 9 FPO lead card action brought to you by MDG Media. I'm your host for today, Connor Wood, and happy to be looking at this last back 9 that will position and set up these players for a lead card on the final day. As we take a look at the standings, we see Kristin Tattar, just an absolutely huge lead of 18 strokes over Silva Saarinen in second place here, who is finding herself a 1 under, Eveliina a 1 over, and Henna a 2 over, rounding out our lead card, still able to retain those top 4 spots respectively as we look to complete moving day on this back 9. Here you see hole 10, a par 4 at 193 meters. You have that initial gap off the tee to hit as the fairway then begins to broaden and once again narrow. Up here you see OB to the left and the right, as well as that Mando tree, forcing players to the right side, forcing them to be honest down the middle. As you then extend into the second leg of the fairway, you of course have these late trees with the low ceiling, a very recurring theme here on this layout. You want to access this green with a low shot and hopefully skip your way up, although this grass also quite grabby. A challenging hole here. Kristin getting this significantly turned over and kicking off a tree. Does look to have found herself OB. Eveliina here, catching the same tree, but the branches rather than the trunk, and she falls straight down in the fairway, but a very difficult position to play for birdie from. Silva in a similar landing zone, although clean on the flight. Checks up right before those small boulders in the fairway. And we see Henna here, some great power on her drives. She pumps that one way up there. And she'll have just one tree in her way remaining, but I think able to navigate that. We go to Eveliina. Let's put a big snap on this, trying to get as much distance up the fairway as she can. And that's a good spot to be. Should leave her with a stress-free par. Hole 10 averaging 4.72 on the day. 42% of the field taking the par. We see Kristin here. A great forwards pushing flight as well. She connects with that very last tree and will have a circle 2 look at the birdie. Silva with an awkward stance. Looks like her lie is actually underneath that rock. Tucked away, just like this basket. We see her also in that common landing zone, just shy of that last tree line. Henna with some great distance off the tee, but forced into this standstill. You see her power there, though. Incredible touch and angle control with that power standstill shot. Right up there into bullseye. Great moment for Henna. She looks to claw back some of the damage done on the front 9. Henna had a really strong start, but then found some troubles over there on hole 7, but Silva able to give it a chance. Not too pleased with it. We go to Kristin now. But she's good for the comebacker. A great characteristic of Silva. Being strong at putting, she's always giving it a bit and most often making the comeback putt as well. We saw Kristin from that OB early on, as well as that last missed putt, resulting in her bogey. Henna with the tap-in birdie. 2 great, powerful shots. Even going standstill on the second one. We'll see 2 pars, a birdie and a bogey for our FPO leaders here on hole 10. We move to hole 11. Another hole and design here that is matching the recurring theme for a lot of these par 3s, sitting at roughly 100 meters with the low ceiling and an elevated basket. Hole 11 you really want to access with the straight shot, perhaps go to the right of the basket and catch a small skip. A very nice backhand line available to all of these right-handed players. A lot of players opting to disc up because of that late low ceiling. You want something sharp that can fight through. We see Henna getting us started. Has a great forward skip into the circle. Will be at about 9 meters. Eveliina with a nice forwards pushing shot as well. A great height under the ceiling. Finds the very last tree, blocking her way to the green, and will be left just outside the circle. I see Silva getting this one quite turned over. Forwards pushing, but anything that is contending with those low-hanging branches from that distance due to the basket being an elevated one, it will really pinch the gap available. You need to push it under the tree line, if not past it, just like that. Done by Kristin Tattar, your leader, in order to have an open look and an open height to give the putt a healthy bid. And exactly just like that, as mentioned, Silva even just a few meters behind the tree, pinched on the height, does find a branch. Eveliina Salonen. Amazing circle 2 putt. She walks that one in with a smile. Very nicely done, finding herself back at even with both Henna and Silva to either side of her by a stroke, at least for the time being. And Henna, unfortunately, to the left side with that straddle putt. Another bid that looked quite floaty. A common strategy for her on the elevated baskets. And Kristin, another fantastic putt, getting to 3 down for the round and a good bounce back after her bogey on hole 10. You can imagine just what this means to her, to put on such a performance in her home country at a tournament this grand. Truly historic moment in the making here. I think this performance will be talked about for quite some time for your leader. We see hole 12, a par 5 at 237 meters. You have this initial tunnel to hit. You want to create a left to rightwards movement for the backhand, requiring a very late turn, and for the forehand, a little bit of flex or flip up. You want to push up to this bend, fight your way through into the open fairway, then try to pierce on into the green. Once again, tucked away behind the low ceiling. This hole, certainly one of the more friendly and attackable birdies, but requiring 3 great throws and a putt. A lot of variables in play. You need a great consistency to find the birdie on these longer holes. We see Eveliina looking to craft that very difficult backhand line and finds the turn too early on in the flight. Kristin has hit this really nicely down the middle. Getting over that path is a great position to be. She fires on past it. Will be to the right of the fairway, forcing her to make another left to right shape with her next shot and potentially a second forehand for her. Henna pushing the right side OB line, and the reaction off the branch is not favorable for her. Will find that early penalty stroke. Silva with a smooth execution, but pushing just too straight with the backhand. Did not find enough turn and extended past the length of the available fairway on that first straight shot. We see Eveliina early on in the fairway looking to power the forehand up there. She's shaped it nicely, although found some branches along the way. I think really just a placement shot for her. Henna from where she crossed, and unfortunately also not finding enough turns, similar to Silva, who we see throwing here now. Both of them contending with that left side OB. A great looking shape here for Silva. That is her second shot and third stroke. Great progress up the fairway. Kristin here, her second shot, as mentioned, needing to go quite a lot left to right, being on the right side. And she has done just that. I think a short chip shot up into the green for her birdie. Very nicely done with 2 forehands for Kristin. Eveliina as well, going for her second forehand. This is her third shot. Some great power there from her to battle up the hill to circle's edge. Henna finding some troubles here on hole 12. First OB to the right and then OB to the left. And as she looks to make her way into the green again, more obstacles along the way that will challenge her here. Still a long putt left for her. Kristin giving it even a soft bid with the forehand hyzer. Very nicely done and a great control. Silva comfortable to lay that one up. Will be tapping in the par, even with that OB penalty stroke off the tee. A nice bid from Henna from pretty far away, as she's looking now to be unfortunately taking quite a big number here on 12. We go to Eveliina, coming off that great putting momentum just off the band. Kristin with an effortless looking birdie. Very nicely done. 3 forehands and a putt for her. She puts together 2 in a row on this back nine. And the double for Henna, done in the required amount of throws, but with 2 OBs. You see here hole 13, a par 4 at 223 meters. As the drone flies over out of bounds, crossing this line back inbounds, players will be throwing a big hyzer and trying to find their placement in the fairway as far up as possible while ensuring they don't push that OB to the right too much. You then have to contend with this sort of narrowing width of the fairway between both the trees on the left and right, shaping a left to right movement as well into this green. It requires a lot of distance on the second shot, with the first one often just being placement, a very difficult birdie to get, and certainly some danger of bogeys and above. We see Kristin up first, going to offer a wind read to her competitors. As we break out a little bit into the open, we will see it come slightly more into play. And she really pushes the left side, but very safe, erring to the side of caution. Should certainly be enough to be playing for par without much stress. Would be a very difficult birdie to navigate, though. Eveliina, a very overstable disc as she released that really hard and just on a soft hyzer, and a terrible break for Eveliina. One of those extremely skinny poles. Very small space that she's not allowed to hit. And you see that lone pole out there in the field. What an unfortunate result for Eveliina, as she will be playing from really early on for her third stroke. Silva placing herself right next to Kristin. As we go to Henna now, potentially able to let go of some frustrations from the previous hole. This one very high and with a lot of hyzer. What looks to be some right to left wind. I think that tree absolutely saving her from another OB penalty stroke had it continued its fade to the left. She finds a fortunate break there in contrast to Eveliina's. And you see now Not much distance gained for her, having not crossed inbounds. She's just going to be looking to do the exact same thing she just did. A great power hyzer for her, and good execution in a tricky spot, as you see them smiling about it. Understanding that that was just a bit of misfortune, we go to Henna. Does have this low ceiling here, looking to push as much distance as she can. Once again playing very leftwards, but also keeping it safe. Kristin will chuck her chalk bag, and now her disc here, looking to get this forehand. Low ceiling underneath the branches. Look at that nice line. Really perfectly between the low ceiling and the floor. Some very nice safe distance up the fairway. And that will open up her look into the green for her third shot. Silva just adjacent to where Kristin was, and she opts for the backhand hyzer, being a little bit more to the right side. That window opening up, and Silva quite a backhand dominant player. And Eveliina with another heartbreaking kick, although that one really just was released early on, but the kick very mean to find OB to the right, and she still has a lot of distance left into the green. She's looking to shape this long turnover, and a beautiful throw there on what was quite a punishing hole for her. Great to see her hold her head high and deliver another fantastic shot. Henna very nicely making her way to the green as well. We go to Silva, opting for the standstill, has this diagonal look into the green. The crowd lining the edge of inbounds, and she slides her way into bullseye. Another great skill of Silva's is her upshot game. Very consistent, very nice use of height and stability. This is Kristin's third shot, and it's a little bit wide, but going to use that late stability to bring it back to the right, and she looks to be just inside the circle, if not around circle's edge. Some great color coordination for Kristin's bag there, matching her country's and nation's colors. As the opportunity for her par flies by with that putt. Looking at a bogey at best now for Kristin. An opportunity for the rest, but Henna there, able to secure that putt. Silva, cleanly done. An easy par for her. She continues to find those here on the back nine of round 3. The only one so far bogey-free in this back nine, and we see from Eveliina the tap in for the triple bogey 7. Tough hole for her. We move on to hole 14, a par 4 at 172 meters, one of the more attackable par 4s certainly, with not so much distance and quite a generous fairway. Players will throw a placement shot up to near this white structure here on the left side fairway near the OB line. You really can place yourself pretty much anywhere here before this slight downslope in the fairway or around it. A lot of these shots will be left with 70 or 80, between 70 and 90 meters really, into this green, shaping very nicely for the backhand hyzer. You want a straight shot and then a right to left movement at the end. You really don't need to push the distance, although it might be helpful. We do see the wind beginning to rip as Silva finds herself on the box. And we see that reaction to the wind right there. She has that low and turned over, will leave her a lot of distance to the green, but as mentioned, you really don't need to push it so much. Although it will be trickier if the wind continues to pick up. We will see now how Henna chooses to navigate that. A similarly low shot that is simply dropped down by the wind. We'll see if Kristin here looks to make the adjustment and find a read off those two. Perhaps give it more height. As she finds more progress up the fairway, fading to the left will require more steep of a hyzer angle for her to approach the green, but certainly manageable from there. Still very much a good position to attack for birdie. Eveliina pushing to the right side fairway with a lot of overstability. Look at the ground play that she finds. 3 skips there. Some very nice distance. She will have the shortest shot into the green. Although also on the left side will need to be quite a steep hyzer, although she is comfortable with that shape. Very proficient. As we have Henna up first, had a very low release and is left with the most distance, I would say still probably about 110 or even potentially a little bit more for her. Challenging the out of bounds, the spectators are able to get out of the way and clear up the path to swing back in bounds. A great respect for the players from these spectators and a great love for the sport. We go now to Silva, who also had quite a low release, beaten up by the wind. She's looking to shape this long fighting hyzer into the green, and absolute perfection. You can see that even with not so much distance off the tee, still very attackable. Very nicely done for Silva. Kristin here giving it a nice width, really removing those trees from the equation, and in the bullseye. Textbook execution for her as well. Eveliina now closest of the bunch, with a chance to bounce back after her hole 13. That rock just being the backstop for her approach will leave her with that tester putt of about 7 or 8. Henna from way downtown. That was for her birdie, however, and should be an easy 4. Hole 14 had 25% of the FPO field birdie it and 50% find the par. One of the friendlier holes as Eveliina there off the band for her birdie. Also alongside Henna looking to be playing for 4. We have both Silva and Kristin within the bullseye for their birdie 3s. As we see Silva break that streak of pars and connect with the birdie here to put herself to 2 under. Kristin matches that. Yet to even take a par here on the back 9. Kristin has found 2 bogeys and 3 birdies. Really on that attacking mindset, ride or die. A great performance from our lead card. We move to hole 15. A par 4 at 201 meters. You have this slight uphill slope as well as the low ceiling, of course, with this park style golf, some beautiful trees doing their job. You want to break out through this tree line and into the open field, whether on your second or third shot. You then want to cross over this pond and into in bounds, really hoping to avoid the first line of trees here, as anything that connects cleanly with them can often bounce back into the pond. You need to pick the gap to access the green, hit it, and make your putt Another hole where par is an absolutely fine score, averaging well over at 5.22. Hole 15. Many obstacles to navigate if you're looking to capture the elusive birdie 3. Silva pushing the height nicely, does not find the full flex at the end, but a very nice shape regardless. It will be a long way to the green from there, but potentially possible. She does have quite good power. Kristin, I think, going with a touch more stability on her disc choice, but also just riding it back to flat at the end. Also very nicely in that sweet spot. I think certainly looking to attack the green from there for Kristin. Similar spot to her lie in round 2. Henna looking to play this backdoor hyzer route, swinging it right to left under the low ceiling, catches some branches along the way and does not complete her flight, but should allow her to have an easy decision to lay up before the pond and play for par. It can be a little bit liberating on some of these dangerous par 4s. If you don't have the perfect tee shot, it at least eases the decision to play for par rather than birdie, but Eveliina smushing that one through the gap. A really nice long flight there that will also allow her to access the green if she chooses to go for that. Henna's up first, looking to lay this up before that white sign, before the pond. And no real reason to push that OB. So coming up just a bit short. And also should be nicely in the shade of the tree there. A brief respite from the sun. Silva as well from the shade here. Just the placement hyzer. An easy choice for her as well. We will go to Kristin now. I see this forehand stand still really clearly showing that she is also just looking to pitch up before the pond. And I think a wise play from her, considering the context of her score and her position in this tournament. We see another huge crush by Eveliina, and just like that, she finds herself inside the circle. Fantastic execution of hole 15 for Eveliina Salonen, as she's going to look to claw back those birdies. Damage done on hole 13. Eveliina currently tied with Henna at 3 over. Silva sitting at 2 under now. This is her third throw. And will have quite a short look for her par. A nice game plan, well executed. Very little danger found. And a vehicle there really generating a lot of noise as Henna's lining up her shot, but laser focus for her into the bullseye, unaffected by her environment. Kristin playing the forehand over the pond into the green, gives it the height and drops it also into the bullseye. Really all you need to find the par there. Going backhand, forehand, forehand for Kristin, taking her to the putt. We see Silva there securing her par. And still a very clean back 9 for Silva. Great to see Eveliina here for her birdie. And she finds that nicely. Kristin for her par here to remain at 20 under. This would be her first par of the back 9. Just like that, it is recorded into the books. And Henna, with a harder round, came in second place, has since fallen behind, but will still have a few holes here to try and battle for her position on the final round lead card. We are here on hole 16, Another par 3 sitting at around 100 meters with both the low ceiling as well as the OB to the right and long. The height available to these competitors really encouraging them to disc up and try to push that distance. Very difficult to go long while matching the height, so really able to try and pump one through the gap. Hole 16. Difficult to birdie, pretty easy to par. If you can avoid a kick, the bogey is not so common either. But certainly a very difficult 2. Eveliina with a great piercing shot though. She's really solid with that nose angle and low to the ground release. Very nicely done. We go to Silva now. Doesn't quite have the raw arm speed that Eveliina does, but able to make a great shape here. A little bit caught up along the way though. It does get slowed down and leaves her in circle 2 looking at the elevated basket. Kristin just took her first par of the back 9. Getting that hyzer release, and we see quite a lot of turn from her. She burns it over and finds the cut roll. I think a very easy 3 for her as well from there. A jump putt approach. And we see Henna also playing with the understability. Look at the glide and the line. Incredible from Henna Blomroos. Really nicely done, matching the fairway beautifully, both in shape and height. Kristin still a little bit more distance than the first angle suggested, but a short upshot. Very comfortable for her and well executed. We see Silva just laying that one up. Eveliina's chance for her birdie. And the announcer just starting in her backstroke. Tricky position there. We go to Henna, who also with a great drive, unfortunately unable to find that putt, as we now see some frustration visibly exposed to us there from her. As these holes dwindle, only 2 left after they'll finish their putts here on 16. Certain windows of time are closing. It's just like that. Our lead card finds the par frame on hole 16, where 58% of the field did take that par as well. We see here a very treacherous hole 17, a 99-meter par 3, although uphill, probably playing like 110 or 115. Once again, the Mando to the right side, forcing players to play down the middle. This one going uphill, you need a great power and precision to hit this tunnel, get some turnover, rise straight, and hopefully push forwards at the end with a nice skip if you're lucky. A very difficult hole, and with OB on all sides, once again, any significant kick will likely be bringing you a penalty stroke. You really need to hit this cleanly. Best way to not bogey is to birdie it. And it sounds crazy, but there's really no good spot other than in the fairway, down the middle. And look at that. Great drive by Eveliina. Even getting that final skip into the circle will have another chance to secure a birdie. We see Silva here. Really too much height, but looks to have spun out and stayed safe. A good break to not find OB left there. Kristin now. And a huge kick to the right off the left side trees will find Kristin OB. Par, out of play, bogey for best, and even that will be quite difficult with the Mando tree. Maybe looking at even a double for our leader. We see the hyzer to straight line from Henna as well, but also pushing that ceiling, this uphill slope, really requiring players to get that nose up, but very easy to throw too high. You really just need to match the grade of the hill. And Kristin forced to put that placement shot into the fairway. Hole 17 with a very powerful 22% double bogey rate for the field. That was a really nice shot there for Silva. Very well executed as she's in play for her 3. Henna as well with a smooth delivery to the green. Finds herself in the bullseye. Kristin does find her way to the green in 3 throws with 1 penalty stroke. Eveliina, a great par save there, and fortunate to not go out of bounds off that first tree kick. Taking opportunity of a good situation there, and Eveliina for her birdie. Another error for her on the putting green. A fantastic drive, however. And Silva, Eveliina finding par in very different ways. Kristin with the double bogey going into the last hole at 18 under. Henna also with the tap in par. A good scramble from both her and Silva. We go to the final hole of this layout back towards the amphitheater. Another elevated basket with a big open space to let your disc fly. This par 4 sits at 161 meters, significantly downhill. Certainly eagleable, and we have seen it done by Eveliina in a previous round. This one is really a big shot if you have it on full hyzer, but likely up to flat or a soft flex if you want to get all the way there. If you're just simply playing for the birdie, you'll err to the side of caution on the left to ensure that you stay in the fairway. The straight line right towards it over OB almost the entire flight. Really testing the distance and accuracy. As we see a great shot there of our 3 Finnish competitors pushing our Estonian leader. As Kristin still maintaining an incredible lead. Eveliina Salonen off the tee. She has a great turn, a great speed on this, a lot of height. And she finds herself with a great distance out and to the left. A safe and conservative shot that will allow her to play for birdie. A lot of power there on that though. Silva really pushing this straight line. So much airspace, always finding the fade and in a very similar position. Able to go laterally across the hill for both of those players on their next shots. Henna here looking to go mega hyzer. And a big swooping shot. See all 3 of them in a similar landing zone. We'll be left with the same line, although of various distances. Kristin looking to close out her round here with a good drive. And we see the turn. Look at the lift and the drop. Incredible by Kristin Tattar, going long on this 161 meter par 3. Will be left in circle 2. Get some knuckles, and to the crowd's applause, Kristin will be having an eagle putt here on this last hole in front of the crowd. We see Henna now. Very smooth touch. Great delivery and slightly hard around for her, but able to walk away head held high. Silva even looking like she wanted to give that a chance. A little bit of disbelief in her expression watching the flight. Eveliina, you know, all of these girls want to find that eagle in front of the crowd. We will go now to Kristin, who has a chance to do the same. And out to the left side, she will be in the bullseye for her birdie. Tap in to end her round at 19 under, going into the final round. Silva with a great comebacker there, able to secure her 3 as well. That putt actually putting her to 1 under for the round, scraping by with a completely bogey-free back 9 for Silva. Kristin there with the bounce back as well. And as we see on the final hole of round 3, the star frame for our lead card. Eveliina ending at 1 over, Henna at 2 over. And as we take a look at the standings going into the 4th and final round, Kristin Tattar, still your solo leader at 19 under with a total round score of 3 under. Silva with a total score of 3 under from her -1 round. Eveliina in 3rd and Henna in 4th. These players will remain in the top 4 positions going into the final day. Such an exciting and captivating moment here. A momentous occasion for European disc golf history. We appreciate you tuning in and enjoying this coverage. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're feeling extra supportive, you can check us out on Patreon as well. Your support is what helps make this coverage possible. We appreciate every single one of you, wishing you a great day, and make sure to tune in to the conclusion of round 4 to see who will be crowned your 2023 European champion.